So now that we're done talking about 3D printing, let's get back to the cryptocurrency stuff. So Darkcoin's been doing well, and we've talked a bit about the DarkSend technology, its resemblance to CoinJoin. We talked last week a little bit about CryptoNote and how DarkSend is going to incorporate some of this ring signature technology from CryptoNote into Darkcoin in a future version. But I wanted to learn a little bit more this week about CryptoNote. What else is going on in this CryptoNote space? Where did it come from? And also some updates with the Zerocoin project as well. So let's take a look at that next. So what are the origins of this CryptoNote technology? This is from the Bitcoin wiki talking about CryptoNote. It says a little note is known about CryptoNote's origins. The official website uses supposedly fake names for the team members, and the white paper's author is Nicholas van Saberhagen, which is also likely to be a pseudonym. The white paper CryptoNote version 2.0 is dated back to October 2013, which is not long ago at all. The developers have mentioned at CryptoNote's official forum that the team actually consists of a group of cryptographers, developers, and economists, but their identities have to be concealed currently for reasons yet to be determined. Could be that they have a fear that the governments that have control over where these people reside would seek some kind of retribution against them. It could be that they own a bunch of cryptocurrency and they don't want to avoid being stolen from. Who knows? It's also mentioned that CryptoNote's team and Bitcoin's team have been developing the technology and the currency in a cooperation, but separated soon after launch. So Bitcoin, I guess, is one of the instances of the CryptoNote technology actually implemented as a cryptocurrency. And so the idea was that there was a team of people working together, and then one of them branched off to actually implement this technology for a particular altcoin. CryptoNote has been under development for some time before Bitcoin's launch on the ClearNet in March 2014, just 2 months ago, but there is no evidence of the exact years of research and development. The website mentions 2011 to 2014 in the footer. So not too much known about where CryptoNote has come from. We don't know who's behind it. We know a lot about the technology involved, and it's open source, and there's a number of cryptocurrencies that are now based on the CryptoNote technology, and we even have a lot of them are not heavily based on Bitcoin. They're not just forks of Bitcoin. That's kind of a new branch of code, and so one important thing to keep in mind about that is it has not been scrutinized. The code base has not been scrutinized in the same way that Bitcoin has. So that's an important piece of security for software, for sure. But there is some kind of core CryptoNote code that is being forked, and here's a few of the different cryptocurrencies that have instantiated CryptoNote. So we have Bitcoin, which appears to be one of the larger ones, and the other most well-known one is Monero, or just simply Monero. And we'll talk about Monero in just a moment. I have been seeing some mentions on Twitter of Monero with respect to Darkcoin and sort of a comparison between the two. And there is also apparently a couple others called Phantom Coin and Quasar Coin. Now, most of these are pretty small in terms of their market cap. We'll talk about the market cap in a moment, but not all of these are being actively traded on exchanges, and it seems that the ones that are being traded on exchanges are being traded on relatively obscure exchanges. I haven't been able to find good information about exactly how many of the units of currency are out there in existence, so it's hard for me to determine the exact market cap. Some of them don't. It doesn't seem as if all of them have block explorers. They're all being mined, of course, and so they have mining pools and so forth, but just not a lot of really detailed information out there that you see with more mature kind of altcoin cryptocurrencies. So hopefully something like that will emerge for a bunch of these cryptocurrencies. There's some information out there. So just to give you a sense of how young these cryptocurrencies are, here's MintPal, which is an altcoin exchange. And they have this feature where you can vote on which new cryptocurrencies to add to the exchange. And based on the number of votes that they get, they may add the cryptocurrency of favor to MintPal, allow people to trade it for Bitcoin, Litecoin, etc. Not for dollars, generally speaking. And just to give you a sense of how still unpopular these cryptocurrencies are, so the top ranked coin to be voted into trading on MintPal right now is called CryptoMeth, which is a pretty terrible name for a cryptocurrency, I must say. And it has 19,000 votes for it. I think the votes are essentially you get a vote when someone sends 0.001 Bitcoins to the payment address, and that's how they accumulate votes. In the next screen, we can see Bitcoin, which is probably the most popular instantiation of CryptoNote, if it's not Monero, is all the way down towards the bottom of this list at number 413, and it only has 6 votes. And it's below such completely unnotable cryptocurrencies as AAP Coin, Mobile Coin, Patriot Coin, Zenith Coin, Zerocoin. BitShares PTS is notable, but hasn't gotten many votes for this particular website. Eon Coin, ZC Coin, Lepro Coin, which I'm not sure if that's leprechaun or leprosy. And then the only coins below Bitcoin right now are Parallax Coin, Cashmere Coin, and Machine Coin. So I think that gives us some indication. Now I was looking around to see what is the market cap of some of these currencies. Are they pre-mined? What is the deal here? And I didn't have a lot of time to do that research, but I found some people posting in forums, so take this with a huge grain of salt. But this person was saying that he estimated, this was back in May 6th, today is May 20th, so this is a couple of weeks old. He was estimating the market cap at, let's see, how many zeros is that? 18.4 million Moneros that have been released. Monero is one of these CryptoNote cryptocurrencies, and apparently each one of them was worth about 0.00175 Bitcoins, so that would have a total market cap of about 32,000 Bitcoins, or $13.9 million, which is not a modest market cap for an altcoin. It's definitely up there. It would be up there in the top 20 or 30 or whatever it is. And he said at the time it was in fact above Darkcoin and just below Namecoin. So that was May 6th. I don't know what the market cap would be right now. A lot of these market caps are artificially inflated because the creators will pre-mine a lot of the coins and hold on to them for some special purpose. Sometimes they say that they're going to give them away for bounties to improve the currency and to market it, and etc. But it's hard to judge exactly what is a fair market cap evaluation for those coins if a lot of them are kind of locked up being held by one person, because we don't know what that person is going to do with the coins exactly. So 13.9 million approximately as of May 6th for Monero, and for Bitcoin, this person was estimating the market cap on May 6th to be around $20 million. So take that for what it's worth. Now let's talk about Monero. So apparently, so it uses CryptoNote as its code base. It's forked from CryptoNote, started from scratch. I guess that means that they're saying it hasn't been pre-mined. The emission schedule, or how often they are releasing new Monero coins, is based on the flatter curve, whatever that is. Monero is apparently the word for coin in Esperanto. I do have to wonder about people that name their coin after a language that was artificially designed and it's kind of not had a lot of success in terms of adoption. But anyway, block target is at 60 seconds, so I guess you could get transactions confirmed pretty quickly in this network and pumping out coins pretty quickly. And some other stuff to do with the block size and how many units it has and so forth. So it looks interesting. It's very interesting to me to see cryptocurrencies that are not forked from Bitcoin. You know, they're obviously heavily inspired by Bitcoin. None of this was possible until the invention of the blockchain came around, but they're not exactly forks of Bitcoin. And here is the price of Monero on an exchange. I haven't heard of this one before. It's called Poloniex. And it looks like over the last couple days, which is all that this market has data for, it's been in the range of 0.003 Bitcoins up towards around 0.008 or so. So if you're looking to become an early adopter of a privacy-oriented cryptocurrency, Darkcoin I think is a very good bet, but of course, we were not the absolute earliest opportunity to do that. So maybe Monero may be the next thing to jump into. And again, if you if you take any of these recommendations and buy up some coins and make a lot of profit, feel free to send me a tip. So that's about all I have to say about CryptoNote for today. What I'm seeing overall in the cryptocurrency space with regards to privacy is I'm seeing maybe 3 different camps. One is the Bitcoin camp, and the charge for Bitcoin privacy is being led by Dark Wallet predominantly right now, which is weird because Dark Wallet is not quite ready for prime time. It's not ready to be used for the mainnet of Bitcoin. It's still in alpha. It's still buggy. To some extent, it's natural to see a lot of innovation coming out of software that's not highly mature, but it seems like they're doing a lot more in the privacy space than some of the other people that have worked on privacy in the past. I'm still anxious to see the status of CoinJoin implementation for Bitcoin Core by Peter Todd. I'm not really sure what the status of that is right now, but I'd be curious to hear about that. So that's Bitcoin. They don't, even within the Dark Wallet pack, I don't see them necessarily coming out with the newest innovations. It seems like they are taking technologies that have been being discussed for a long time at this point in terms of stealth addresses and CoinJoin, and that's stuff that people have been talking about for months and months now, and finally making it a reality, which is fantastic. I mean, so good on the Dark Wallet people for doing that, but I don't see necessarily that they're at the cutting edge. That could change in the near future. I'm going to reserve judgment on that. But then we have the Zerocoin people. We'll talk about Zerocoin, get a little update on that in just a moment. But they've invented a new technology for protecting anonymity with cryptocurrencies, and theirs is a very academically rigorous approach. It's a series of serious researchers, Johns Hopkins University, other universities, I think there may be even a private sector researcher as well that worked on the latest paper coming out of them, and they're releasing white papers, and they're all, this is a very serious academic study, and that's a bit different from some of the other developers in this privacy space who are more focused. They might be more focused on getting something out to use right away, right now. And keep in mind that a lot of this, it makes sense to me that a lot of the innovations are coming out in the altcoin space, because if you can launch your altcoin like the main Darkcoin developer did, you can stand to make a lot of wealth off of that. If you want to try and fold your technology into Bitcoin, then you have to gain the favor of the Bitcoin developers. You have to, have your pull requests merged, and you'll have to debate with them. They may say yes or they may say no. Whereas if you launch your own altcoin, and there's no guarantee of getting paid for that whatsoever as well. I don't think any of the Bitcoin developers get paid very well. Some of them got into Bitcoin early, and so they're doing fine in that regard. But in terms of getting a monthly paycheck, I don't think that any of them are getting paid hugely. Some of them will moonlight and do consulting, but in terms of getting paid for your actual coin development efforts, there's no guarantee of that. Whereas if you launch an altcoin, if you can get your hands on a lot of the altcoin up front, then you can make a lot of money off of that. Bitcoin went from essentially zero to fractions of a penny to, around $400, 400 something dollars today, peaking at around $1,200. And there's no reason why other altcoins cannot do that in the future. I expect that Bitcoin will continue to be the mainline of cryptocurrency and retain the most value. But if Bitcoin goes to $10,000, then why couldn't Darkcoin go to, tenfold from where it is right now or more? So it's very appealing for people to launch altcoins. There's still a lot of people that are looking to speculate in the altcoin space, and I do not fault them for that at all. I think it's an interesting way to make some quick cash if you are well educated on the topic. And so, yeah, of course, people are going to launch their own altcoins and try to bootstrap their own development efforts. And I think that maybe incentivizes getting stuff that works right now out as quickly as possible, as opposed to, someone like Matthew Green at Johns Hopkins University, who, as far as I know, he doesn't have any plans to launch his own Zerocoin altcoin and, make $10 million off of that. This is an academic pursuit for him. He has a long career as a cryptographer and a professor, and etc. So, in fact, I think it might be frowned upon if he were going to take his research and launch an altcoin. People might question his academic integrity or whatever. So, it's definitely two different incentive structures, and I think that's something that really sets the Zerocoin technology apart. And then flying under the radar has been this CryptoNote technology that we're just starting to learn about. The altcoins that are employing the technology are literally just a month or two old. The technology seems to have come out in terms of the code late last year, quietly. We don't know how long they've been working on it for exactly, but before that. But it's pretty new. So those are the three camps I see right now, and Bitcoin, Zerocoin, and this CryptoNote. Darkcoin has been an additional path in an additional camp in this competition. But now that I see that they're starting to move towards ring signatures with the next version of DarkSend, it makes me think that they might be better classified in the CryptoNote camp, actually. It's not a fork of CryptoNote, so I don't want to confuse that distinction. But in terms of which kind of technology, which approach that these different organizations are taking to get to privacy, there's 3 or 4 different approaches that are majorly being taken right now. Of course, there's things like Fedora Coin and so forth. It's hard for me to see how things like Fedora Coin may not just get left in the dust, because the technology at this point is, in cryptocurrency age, kind of old and outdated at this point. So we'll see if they can keep up with that. I've also heard that there's a new cryptocurrency being launched called Liberty Coin, and what I've been told is that they wanted to add privacy features, but very much so as an afterthought. It seems that they're likely to copy the Fedora Coin approach, and so at the moment I don't see it as a serious competitor to Darkcoin or these other privacy-centric cryptocurrencies. So if you're thinking about investing in privacy-centric cryptocurrencies and you are thinking about Liberty Coin, I would steer away from that. I would find other reasons to invest in Liberty Coin if you're considering that speculation. So now that we've talked about a bit of a taxonomy, just a sketch of a taxonomy of these different approaches to cryptocurrency privacy, let's wrap up by looking at Zerocash. I had a lot of questions over the week about this. Zerocash, this product, they just released the latest version of their academic paper. It's entitled Zerocash Decentralized Anonymous Payments from Bitcoin. This is the extended version just released 2 days ago. And that's being headed by Matthew Green and a bunch of other researchers, including Eli Ben-Sasson, Alessandro Chisa? Sorry for butchering these names. Christina Garman, Ian Mears, Aaron Tromer, and Madars Verza. So I wanted to read just through the initial part of this paper. I don't want to get deep into the technical stuff, the details of exactly how the cryptography works and all that, because I don't think it's appropriate for most of the people in the audience. I think it'll be very confusing. One of these days, what I really like to do is I'd like to have in my studio a nice whiteboard where I can kind of explain some of the details of this stuff, because people are curious to understand it, but you do have to do a lot of preparation and a lot of careful planning in order to make this stuff at all comprehensible to the average non-computer scientist. So let's just get into a bit of the basic stuff. We'll go over the abstract and a bit of the introduction for this latest paper and find out what's the state of Zerocash right now. What have they accomplished? So they said, they wrote here, Bitcoin is the first digital currency to see widespread adoption. Payments are conducted between pseudonyms, and Bitcoin cannot offer strong privacy guarantees because the transactions are recorded in a public decentralized ledger from which much information can be deduced. Now, Zerocoin is trying to tackle some of these privacy issues by unlinking transactions from the payment's origin. In other words, they want to be able to have the transaction go through, but not have people see exactly where the transactions are coming from, who the sender is. So it's still going to reveal payment destinations and amounts, and it's somewhat, the Zerocoin approach was somewhat limited in functionality, and it had lots of criticisms. At one point, the Zerocoin people were hoping that this would all be folded into Bitcoin, and people criticized it as non-functional, not efficient enough, not functional enough, and shot it down. And so they've been working on the next iteration of this technology called Zerocash. In this paper, they will construct a full-fledged ledger-based digital currency with strong privacy guarantees. Their results leverage recent advances in zero-knowledge succinct non-interactive arguments of knowledge, also called ZK snarks. They formulate and construct decentralized anonymous payment schemes, DAP schemes. A DAP scheme lets users pay each other directly and privately. The corresponding transaction hides the payment's origin, destination, and amount. So all three of those things are hidden. And in the paper, they provide formal definitions and proofs, which we won't get into. So Zerocash is based on this DAP scheme. The transactions are less than 1 kilobyte, and take under 6 milliseconds to verify, orders of magnitude more efficient than the less anonymous Zerocoin. And they believe that this Zerocash technology is going to be competitive in terms of efficiency with Bitcoin. So a while ago, this was, I guess, later part of last year, maybe. It could have been earlier in the year. This is last year, though. Zerocoin was proposed by some of the people also working on Zerocash. Like many eCash protocols, Zerocoin employs zero-knowledge proofs to prevent transaction graph analyses. Now, years ago, cryptographers had come up with eCash proposals, digital currencies that had strong privacy guarantees, but they were not decentralized currencies, because the minting of them and the validation, they hadn't figured out how to decentralize that. That's what Satoshi figured out. And they never got anywhere because, for example, David Chaum was trying to convince actual banking institutions to adopt his eCash proposals. And I imagine the conversation went something like, you want us to do what? Because governments, there's no way that they're going to allow banks to apply eCash schemes to fiat currencies. It didn't happen, and it's not going to happen. So Zerocoin is taking some of this, resuscitating some of this old technology for the Bitcoin era, and also very significantly improving on it. And a lot of these eCash, anonymous eCash protocols were based on zero knowledge proofs, which is just a mathematical primitive, a cryptographic primitive, a way that cryptographers came up to prove something to someone without necessarily exposing all of the information that you would need to prove it. And so they're improving on that with these snarks. Zerocoin does not rely on digital signatures to validate coins, unlike Bitcoin, nor does it require a central bank to prevent double spending. Instead, it authenticates coins by proving in a zero-knowledge fashion that they belong to a public list of valid coins maintained on the blockchain. Rather than a fully fledged anonymous currency, Zerocoin is a decentralized mix where users may periodically wash their Bitcoins via the Zerocoin protocol. So this was their vision, was that people would using Bitcoin, and every once in a while they would go through one of these Zerocoin transactions in the Bitcoin blockchain to sort of mix their coins together with other people's coins. They were not envisioning that Zerocoin would be used for every transaction. So the first reason for that is performance. So redeeming Zerocoins requires a double discrete logarithm proof of knowledge. Don't worry about what that means. The size of each of those proofs is 45 kilobytes and requires 450 milliseconds in order to verify at the 128-bit security level. The proofs have to be broadcast throughout the network, verified by every node, and permanently stored in the ledger. So the entailed costs are higher by orders of magnitude than Bitcoin, and it would very seriously tax Bitcoin operating at a normal scale as it is currently. So just too much data that you would have to broadcast to everyone, too much time spent on verification, and just too much of a beast for Bitcoin to really deal with. The second reason was functionality, why Zerocoin wasn't adopted, or why they were envisioning Zerocoin as something that would happen occasionally and not for every transaction. While Zerocoin constitutes a basic eCash scheme, it lacks critical features required of full-fledged anonymous payments. It uses coins of a fixed denomination. For example, 1 Bitcoin would be converted to 1 Zerocoin, and so forth. You couldn't arbitrarily break it down to 0.001337597 Zerocoins converted to that many Bitcoins and back and forth. Zerocoin has no mechanism for one user to pay another directly in Zerocoins. And thirdly, Zerocoin provides anonymity by unlinking a payment transaction from the origin address, but it does not hide the amount that was sent or other metadata about the transactions occurring on the network. So the way that they have improved on this Zerocoin technology in Zerocash, we'll go over 2 contributions that they cover right here. First is that they introduced the notion of a decentralized anonymous payment scheme, which formally captures the functionality and security guarantees of a fully fledged decentralized electronic currency with strong anonymity guarantees. So basically, much better anonymity. They provide a construction of this primitive, blah, 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 later in the paper. And as I said before, this is leveraging the succinct, non-interactive arguments of knowledge, aka SNARKs, which I think is a great acronym. Number 2, this is their second contribution. They implement the above primitive in a system that they call Zerocash. The system, at 128 bits of security, reduces the size of transactions, as opposed to Zerocoin, spending a transaction that spends a coin takes up less than 1 kilobyte of space in the blockchain, which is an improvement of over 97.7%. Reduces the spend transaction verification time to under 6 milliseconds, a 98.6% advantage over Zerocoin, and allows for the anonymous transactions of a variable amounts, so you don't have to just keep converting 1 Bitcoin into 1 Zerocoin, etc. You can do any amount that you want to. It hides both not only the origin address, but also the transaction amounts and the value of the coins held by individual users. And it allows for payments to be made directly to a user's fixed address without any kind of user interaction. So this is fixing a lot of the stuff that was broken with Zerocoin, and that's Zerocash. So just to get an idea of how practical this system might be, because people might say, well, good, you improved over Zerocoin, but it's still not good enough to be merged into Bitcoin, or it's still not good enough to be a viable technology. So they did a bit of testing in order to validate their system. They measured the performance and established feasibility by using an experiment test network of 1,000 nodes, which is approximately 1/16 of the unique IPs in the Bitcoin network and 1/3 of the nodes reachable at any given time in the Bitcoin network. So not a tiny fraction of the Bitcoin network. And they're referring to, so 1/16. So they're saying that there are 16,000 unique IPs in the Bitcoin network. There's only about 3,000, 4,000, somewhere in that ballpark, full nodes, people running the full Bitcoin Core client. And so this must also include other kinds of nodes in the Bitcoin network as well, maybe miners or people that are running limited verification nodes or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but so it's a reasonable fraction of the Bitcoin network, about 1/3, they're saying, basically, and they got it working. So to them, this indicates that Zerocash could be deployed as a fork of Bitcoin, in other words, as an altcoin, or perhaps maybe a sidechain as well, and that the functionality and the performance would be sufficient to operate effectively. And so they're saying, this is good enough to entirely replace Bitcoin payments with anonymous alternatives. Now, the rest of the paper gets into a lot more technical details. We won't try to dive into that today, but I wanted to share a little bit of some of the what's going on with the Zerocoin research, the advancements into the Zerocash area, and just give you a little bit of an update about what's going on in that sector of cryptocurrency privacy. So one viewer asked, which of these currency privacy technologies seem to be the most promising? It's hard for me to, without actually diving really deep into this paper, diving deeper into some of the CryptoNote papers, it's hard for me to give a fair comparison. And it would, it'd take me 20 hours or something like that to come up with a really well-reasoned comparison between the two. So this seems like, in a lot of ways, the main competition is between CryptoNote with ring signatures and Zerocash. Zerocash seems to have more anonymity in that it's hiding the sending address, the destination address. It's hiding the amounts that are being sent. So it's hiding a lot of information in the blockchain while still allowing the network to confirm the validity of these transactions. And I would think that would be the leader when it comes to anonymity. Ring signatures, what they're able to obscure is the sender of a transaction. It will not obscure, as far as I can see, the receiver of the transaction or the amounts that are being sent. And with these recent developments in Zerocash, it seems like they have really, really improved on the efficiency of their protocols. And so it's now in the realm of feasibility. in terms of being implemented as an altcoin. So if you are interested in speculating in the market, I've mentioned this before, but AnonCoin has talked about merging the Zerocash technology into their altcoin, folding it in. And so this might be a great opportunity to get into AnonCoin. I'm sure that there will be other cryptocurrencies that will also look to replicate the Zerocash technology, but I haven't found out about any of them yet. I bet there are ones that have already announced it that I haven't come across them yet. So I think there will be a little bit of a showdown between the Zerocash technology and the CryptoNote technology. And then of course you have the dark wallet people. It's not exactly clear where they're going to go with that yet. In many ways, their technology is more practical because you can use Bitcoin to buy stuff and trade for goods and services. You can't really use most altcoins to do that. You essentially have to trade Bitcoin in order to do that. What I see of crucial importance in all of this ecosystem is the regulation of crypto to crypto exchanges. We know that there will be stiff regulation all over the world for exchanges that allow you to convert between fiat currencies and cryptocurrencies. There will be know your customer laws and anti-money laundering laws and so forth. But so long as there are these altcoins that give strong privacy guarantees, and so long as the developers make sure that they're getting all of their ducks in a row in terms of covering other avenues for attack on privacy, for example, making sure that their cryptocurrency can be accessed through Tor. I really think it's important that cryptocurrency developers make sure their clients are compatible with Tails Linux, because I think Tails Linux is the best way for people, especially newcomers, to use Tails in a really thorough fashion. So assuming that that's the case, it's very important to know whether these crypto to crypto exchanges are going to be regulated or not, because if they're not, they can regulate Bitcoin all they want to. If people just go to these other exchanges and exchange their Bitcoin, swap it out for some anonymous currency, and then it's later swapped back into Bitcoin, it's going to be all but impossible to actually enforce regulation on Bitcoin effectively, because people will zip in and out of Bitcoin. So I'm very curious to see what will happen with that. And it's much easier to try and apply for a government to try and apply these regulations to a fiat to crypto exchange, because they have to interface with the legacy banking system. If you're a crypto to crypto exchange, you do not have to interface with the legacy banking system. It can be a highly decentralized exchange. It can be an exchange that operates as a hidden Tor service at some unknown place in the world. If it's taken down, it can be quickly copied and brought back online under a new domain name on some other server. We don't know which of these altcoin technologies will come out on top, but either way, they will be of critical importance to privacy for other cryptocurrencies in the future that are not privacy centric, because you will be able to exchange in and out of these different cryptocurrencies in a much less regulated, much less in a fashion that requires much less trust on your part. But if I had to rank them right now, I would say in terms of anonymity guarantees, it seems like maybe Zerocash is on top. And of course, the weakness right now with the dark wallet folks is that CoinJoin is a big part of their privacy technology. And CoinJoin has some significant weaknesses in terms of Sybil attacks and limitations in that you need to gather at the same place and time as other people on the internet, whereas some of these other privacy technologies do not require that. You can gather up a bunch of other public keys for a ring signature without actually asking. You don't have to interact. It's a non-interactive way of performing this privacy technology. I think that in the long run, the non-interactive approaches will win out because they'll be less restrictive. You don't need people to be online at the same time. People can have their funds in offline accounts, so they're less hackable. So we'll see how. I think this will put an interesting kind of pressure on the dark wallet team to adapt, and we'll see exactly how the Bitcoin developers and these different Bitcoin client developers will react to these competitors. In any case, competition is very positive. I'm a big fan of it. I think it's very healthy for the market overall, and it's just incredible to see what people have accomplished in just the last few months. A short time ago, I was not feeling very good about cryptocurrency privacy at all, and now I'm blown away by the developments that have occurred. So just goes to show that this space is evolving very, very quickly, and we don't know what's just around the bend. But all around, I think it's very, very promising in terms of freeing human beings, allowing them to conduct business without the threat of theft or coercion knocking at the doorstep. Of course, the other important piece of technology will be these dark markets. Those will continue to evolve as well. And I think the combination of private cryptocurrencies and private markets is going to be pretty formidable. And it's going to change the world permanently, and I think for the better. So that's going to do it for today's Dark News. Thank you so much for watching. We had a little bit of technical trouble towards the end of the broadcast, but of course you can always watch the recorded version of the shows. You can catch them at darknews.tv, which will bring you to all of the recorded shows for Dark News. And that will do it for May 20th. Stay safe and go look out there in the markets.